Radio in motion program loading in 3, 2, 1. Program activated.
Attention everyone, the unpleasant noise you are about to hear coming from your radio is not a mistake.
Okay, first things first, what is your name?
This is Big Sonny playing the best of the 90s and beyond.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah. Radio in motion.
Please do not turn off your radio, but turn up the volume on your receiver as high as it can go.
All right, here we go.
Radio in motion.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. Thanks for joining me tonight on our Time Flies episode of Radio Motion. Hope you enjoyed that Cyndi Lauper, Time After Time. Great time theme. And then Good Times with Jimmy Barnes and In Excess. That was one of my favorite songs from the Lost Boys. You know, I think everyone should rewatch that. I know, you think, oh, that's just the glam rock vampires walking the boardwalk. You know what? I'm going to be honest, I think the vampires from the 90s were a lot more terrifying than the vampires now, where they're all broody and falling in love and stuff. There were some seriously dreadful and scary moments in Lost Boys. and I'm an adult, and I was thinking, I was watching this when I was younger, and I don't know, there's some disturbing stuff in there. So if you're a true horror fan, I say revisit The Lost Boys. But right now we're going to have another episode of The Ugly Truth. And the truth can be ugly, but it can definitely set you free. So I'm sure you all watched the exciting circus show that was the presidential debate with current President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump. I'm not going to go into which one you like or which one you don't like, or who's your favorite, or who's doing the right things or the wrong things. I'm just going to say in general, it was quite a show, and that no matter who you choose, just remember that at the moment it's a bit of a swamp in politics, in the government, and the thing is the reason why a lot of people are alarmed at the Joe Biden half of that debate was that he's proven himself to be in absolute cognitive decline, and frankly, you want the commander-in-chief to be of sound mind and body, and for anyone who says, oh, well, I cut him a break, he can have a bad day, and to be honest, that's what's coming out right now in the mainstream media. It's so boring. So they're just saying, oh, he had a bad day, didn't have a lot of sleep, obviously his team of physicians didn't pump him up with all the drugs that he's obviously been on to prop him up. But the truth is when you're in that position, you do need to be alert and ready to go. I'm sorry. He's not the door greeter at Bunnings. So this is not about being ageist. Nothing about age. I don't care how old you are. When you're in a position of power like that, when you get up in the morning, you better be ready to go. I don't care if you had a big night, slow night, sleepless night. If you're going to do it, you do it 100%. There's people out there who are in lesser jobs who are working their butts off. So I'm not buying that one. When you're the leader of the free world, you bring your A game to the table. And if you don't have it, then it's time to start recognizing it. So has nothing to do with age, not being ageist, but you know what is happening? Elder abuse, 100%. Tell me that is not elder abuse. His wife and his cabinet and everyone who has been propping him up over the past few years. And that's the thing that's alarming. It's not that, okay, even if you were to say he's allowed to have a bad day, this is a long time coming. This has been obvious for quite a while. The way he wanders off stage, he has been absolutely freezing, which is what people with Alzheimer's do. He is showing the classic signs of someone who is of diminished capacity, sitting there frozen, staring off into the distance. I'm pretty sure he pretty much, shat himself on the world stage on Memorial Day, just bending over for no apparent reason and basically having a depends moment. Again, it's nothing about being elderly. It's about this person and the people around him are abusing him by pushing him at any cost, because they have to push him because they have their agenda, And he is the puppet for that. And if you don't believe that, I can't help you. Like I say, as to anything I say or anyone says, do your own research and use your own brain. But if you, as the whole world, and if you didn't watch it, well, I can't help you. You should watch some of the clips. It was obvious that this man is not prepared, and he is not ready for the job at hand. And that's the problem. So yeah, the dog ate my homework. I was tired. That's not how it works. There are checks and balances in government, whether it's the U.S. or the U.K. or Australia, but especially in the U.S. It's set up like that: executive and judiciary and legislative, and for those who think, oh well, the president really has no power. I hate to be mean, but the more I've gotten into this stuff over the past few years, the fact is the person that you actually elect, that man or woman, does have power. They're the ones that sign the bills. They're the ones that are driving the change. They're the ones that actually make the decisions. I'm sorry to say, King Charles and to the friends across the pond, it is not a king or queen. Frankly, that is a figurehead. Their job is to go out and wave and go, oh, look at the commoners. Oh, they're noticing my hand, supple, a king's hand. Look at them, such lowly people. Sorry, that's a king's job or a queen's job as the figurehead, as the PR. A president does have a job, and that's the thing. You do elect that person for what they're going to do for you, because isn't that what all government officials are supposed to be? Aren't they supposed to be civil servants? Aren't they supposed to speak for the people? It doesn't seem like that lately. It seems like they're in charge like an oligarchy, which is really not the point of that. So the president does, in fact, have power. And when you see someone in cognitive decline, do you want them to have that power? And no, I don't just mean something like they got their hand on the button. It's not always about nukes. It's about sticking with a policy or the things they said they were going to do and actually following through with them to help the people, the country, to help Americans, living in America and the citizens of that country. So if this person has some sort of cognitive impairment and the people around him are denying it and lying to your face, and they've wrangled in the mainstream media to also lie to your face and make excuses, I'm just saying, if you think that's not elder abuse, or if that's not people wanting to stay in power because they have their puppet who's easy to manipulate, if you can't see that, I can't help you. So again, I'm not being partial for one side or the other. I'm just giving you the truth. I'm giving you the facts. You disseminate however you want. You can hate Trump all you want, but going on capacity, I'm just going to say, between the two old men, he is sharp as a tack. So if you're going to pick one, you better pick the one who actually has the ability to stand up for himself and not have others manipulate him. Okay? The president of the free world, easily manipulated and losing his mind. If that sounds okay with you, something's wrong. Okay? And again, this is not defending Trump. This is just a simple thing that people don't often think. If you have personal reasons where you don't like him, he's something you don't like him. Maybe you think he's a womanizer or something, or whatever it is you think about him. You should think the same about Bill Clinton. What a creep Bill Clinton was. Lest we forget about how creepy he was, but people seem to revere him. So, personal opinions aside, this is the reason why the current government swamp doesn't want Trump in. He has absolutely no interest in war. That's a fact. You can look up the actual track record. He has no interest in war, in starting wars or keeping in anyone in wars, and no interest in supporting the military-industrial complex. Folks, that just goes against the whole U.S. machine, and that's one reason alone why you should at least just give him another chance and see what he does. It's just interesting. If you're going to watch the circus, if you want to be involved in the circus, at least make it interesting, and at least have someone who might actually speak for you. So that's all I'm going to say about that with what happened, that, Joe Biden proved on the world stage, on live TV, with no AI or video manipulation like all the mainstream says. Oh, that video was manipulated. He didn't freeze for a good 10 seconds. Well, he did it on the live world stage, and he froze and fumbled horribly. And again, my heart goes out to him. I feel bad, but it's someone who needs to step down. And look, they're either going to scramble for someone else, which is a tough gig, or they're going to keep pushing the person that they can manipulate. And like I say, I think if you support anyone who supports that, which is really just, actual elder abuse, then you're supporting despicable people. That's all I can say about that. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, and speaking of old folks, this one was a bit disturbing, and this is nothing new. This has been happening for quite a while. It's just becoming a bit more mainstream. But this one was a particular interest because this was two people who were voluntarily euthanized, assisted dying, and they made this decision together, a couple, a man and a woman, who wanted to die together hand in hand. So this is a Dutch couple. The former Dutch Prime Minister, I'm probably going to get this name wrong. I'll try to say it Dutchy-like. Dries van Agt, and that sounded German. And his wife died hand in hand with his wife, Eugenie. Both of them were 93. So I'm not going to say that they didn't have a full life, which is a good start before we get into this, divisive subject about assisted dying. 93, assuming you've lived a full life, a lot longer than others, nothing wrong with that. Having said that, I suppose, and this goes back to thinking about the days of Dr. Jack Kevorkian, a huge proponent of assisted dying. I guess I just think, what does it open the door to when this is not someone who is on their deathbed and just about to knock on heaven's door? This is someone who's still, whether you're 93, 83, I don't want to put a number on it. There are people who live to be 100 and beyond. Whether that's quality of life or not, again, you'd be surprised. There are people who are still with it when they're older. But so again, this death was interesting. Now, apparently, the woman had dementia, but this decision was made before she obviously declined. Again, that gets a bit iffy there. Now, and again, I'm reading this verbatim. By all means, look this up yourself. So he had what he says was chronic back pain, unbelievable pain, unable to work, limitations. So again, I will never judge anyone until I walk a mile in their shoes. I can't imagine what some people go through with chronic pain. Obviously, it's a huge problem. It's why a lot of big pharma has been involved over the decades, and they cash in on that, and that's why so many people all over the world end up becoming addicted to pain medications. Again, we won't get too deep into that, but that's certainly a huge thing in the world. Dealing with chronic pain, and then taking the medication, and then the medication itself becomes the problem, because then you're hooked on that and you can't stop. Again, I say that about any drug, and I'm not judging, but from whatever it is that you use to change your body's normal body chemistry, when you add another chemical element in there, no matter what it is, you're either going to be able to wean yourself off of it at some point, or you are going to become dependent on it, because you've now thrown off your body's natural balance. Your body already has its own chemicals, dopamine and adrenaline. There's a myriad of chemicals going on in your body, and certainly when you add something like painkiller, and again, I cannot imagine the severe pain, and a lot of it usually is something like back pain, and it's debilitating. And then when you take something, it's like magic. It's like a cloud. It's like you've been lifted, and your whole world, you've got yourself back. I can't imagine how good that is. Having said that, there is a dark side. So again, back to Mr. Back Pain. So his thing was he had chronic back pain and he couldn't deal with it anymore. Again, all right, I am being a bit judgy now. This is the problem. So that's it. You had back pain. Again, that's why you wanted to go ahead and just give it up. I don't know. I just think it's a little bit weird, and I think it leads to being a bit problematic when there's all kinds of people who might think that death is the only way out, is the only way forward, the only way through. That's a little scary. Yeah, they were 93. What if they were 73? What if they were 43? And don't think this can't happen, because it all depends on, what caveats you have to meet in order to have someone euthanize you. Someone said, isn't it romantic? Is it romantic, really? Is it romantic that they wanted to go out together? I don't know. If you were driving off a cliff saving the world or something, that maybe that's more romantic and interesting to say, okay, hit me up and inject me. We're off, hun. I don't know. If it were me, I think I'd send the wife first. I'd say, you go first. I'll be right there. I'll join you in a minute. Don't you worry. And I'll decide if I want to go or not. So this also reminds me of some seriously dystopian stuff. I don't know if you remember the movie Soylent Green, 1973, Charlton Heston. Look, I'm going to give you a spoiler. The movie's that old. I don't think it's a spoiler at this point. But essentially, it's a very dystopian future world where we're running out of food. And essentially, the thing is it's so bad that there's a new food that comes out called Soylent Green, and everyone thinks it's just plant-based. And it turns out Soylent Green is people. They're using people. So essentially, they're using recycled human bodies and turning it into food. Oh my God. Don't put that past the government. That could actually happen. But there was a scene in there where, and this was Charlton Heston's father, he was just tired of life. It was just too bleak, too terrible, too depressing. And the government had a wonderful, beautiful facility, this huge, giant dome, and these huge, and this was in 1973, but it was done pretty well, these huge, giant movie screens around this giant room, beautiful. And you go into a little bed in the middle, and you watch like your life and your loved ones, and then it showed like birds and nature and rainbows all around you while playing classical music and symphony and beautiful for like 10 minutes while they slowly inject you and then off to the Rainbow Bridge. So I'm going to be honest, that movie, I feel like it's coming true, especially with a lot of the assisted dying sort of programs. And Canada has this, and this is becoming big there. This is the MAID, Medical Assistance in Dying. Again, and this comes from one of the Canadian websites. MAID is a complex and deeply personal issue. The Government of Canada is committed to ensuring our laws reflect Canadians' needs, protect those who may be vulnerable, and support autonomy and freedom of choice. Isn't that funny? Autonomy and freedom of choice. Oh, that's right, unless it's an experimental drug that we want to inject you with during COVID. It's funny how personal body autonomy went away during that time. But that's right. Oh, that's because the COVID vaccine stopped it right in its tracks. Right. How many boosters are they on now? Oh, yeah, booster 10. Right. Body autonomy. So anyway, I won't get in too deep into that, but I think they're crossing their wires there. So yeah, they want to protect people who want to choose death until the autonomy goes away when the government wants to impose, putting a forced injection in your body. So again, these are some difficult things. It doesn't sit well with me. And again, this is not about someone who's in palliative care and in absolute agony or on death's door. Because frankly, do you think that already doesn't happen to this day? That's been happening for decades, my friends. Whether you think so or not, usually if someone is at the end and everyone knows it and the doctors realize that there's nothing more that can be done, their organs are starting to shut down. Hopefully they're not in pain, but if they are, usually, they will be pumping morphine in them. And frankly, and everyone knows this, and this is actually still debated to this day, and when doctors debate things that you think is just known to be true, you got to worry that if they're not sure, why should you be sure? So there's still a debate on the whole pushing morphine thing when someone, again, this is someone who's at death's bed, they're laying there, they will continue to push more morphine because they want to ensure the person isn't suffering. And obviously morphine is certainly going to numb everything and keep you comfortable. Now, most of all the medical journals and websites say that the morphine itself is in no way contributing to the death. This person is already on their way out. This is going to happen to their body. It's going to shut down anyway. The morphine is simply making it comfortable them while they're on their way. Others still believe that the morphine itself and a lot of what it's actually doing to your body and the relaxation, especially when, they're giving you like a double dose. Again, I think this has already been a form of very caring and merciful euthanasia done by doctors in a hospital on purpose already. So again, if you think it's anything new, that's already been happening. Whether it actually, is a causation effect to the death, or it might be just pushing you over that little bit because they want to free up the bed. Okay, that's mean. But I'm just saying it is possible that there's a bit of a balance there of they're on their way and the morphine just helped them get super relaxed to go ahead and slip into the cozy comforter of death a little bit faster. Again, the fact that it's even debated, it means I'm not on one side or the other. I'm just telling you the facts of something you can read yourself. So again, like I say, assisted dying, kind of already been there for those who are already slipping out to the Rainbow Bridge. But it worries me that you can choose that. And what are the boxes you have to tick? I'm super depressed. I'm so depressed. I just want to die. And also, I'm going to be honest. If someone really wants to end their life, you're 9 times out of 10 are going to find it hard to stop the actual ones who aren't just doing it as a cry for help. The ones who do it, they're going to find a bridge. I hate to be bleak, but that's true. They're going to find a bridge or a tall building or another way. So is this about finding a less messy way, or that they're going to go out and they might actually accidentally harm someone else while they're trying to end their life, or they'll end their life poorly and end up in hospital anyway with brain damage? Again, these are all terrible things, but they do happen. So again, this is why I'm not answering it. I'm just asking the question. How do you feel about the fact that there would be an option to end your life? And like I say, this guy was old, but he said, he had chronic back pain. Again, I'm sure it was horrible, but it just doesn't seem like enough. I got chronic back pain. I'm out. I'm gonna die. I don't know. I guess I'm just really made pretty simple in that I believe you should fight as long as you can fight the good fight. And again, I know a lot of people, they come to the absolute end of themselves, and that's sad. And we definitely, if you know anyone like that, by all means, always try to support them and show them that I feel there's always something else surprising that's worth living for, and it might be happening just that next day, and you don't even know it, and you won't know it if you're not there. I don't know. Do as much as you can with your time that you have allotted. And again, part of my theme tonight is time flies, and it does. Make the most of it is I guess what I'm saying. Don't just jump into assisted dying. There's a lot of other options out there for you. Life can surprise you. It can beat you down, but it can also do such amazing things. And frankly, I think the balance is worth it. The beautiful things that come around balance out sometimes some of the horrible things. So again, I leave that to you to decide what you think. And I think life's worth living, folks. All right, well, that's it for tonight's Ugly Truth. I'll leave you with that. We got some more great songs coming up tonight on Radio Motion, our Time Flies episode. We'll be right back after a word from our awesome sponsors.